It's been a while. So for those who don't know, I am in college and I tend to get really busy. So it's been a really long time since I've done one of these videos. I actually did film me doing half of my Magnus the Red model. He's in pieces, but I kind of ended up hating the video because I was just kind of like babbling in it. I didn't have a script that I was looking at, and I really should have written something out to keep me on track. But I thought to kind of get back into this, get back into making videos, I would just do two really simple models. One of them I actually need because I'm hoping to use them in a new tournament list, and the other one I got like months ago, and I forgot I bought him, and I feel really bad because I really love him. So today we're gonna be building this, and I don't even want to try to pronounce his first name. I think it's Ezek, because it's only one E, so I don't think it's Zeke. So it's Cato Ahriman, who's in the Thousand Suns. So we got Ultramarines and Thousand Suns, which if you didn't know, these are my two canon armies that I play. I play these two guys, and then I play a bunch of homebrew classes, or sorry, that's D&D, homebrew armies that I've created. So I have a few of those. The two big ones are the Bee Hounds and the Mercy Marines. The Mercy Marines were the first one I made. Bee Hounds were one I made kind of as a joke, but now I love them very dearly. But we're gonna get right into this. I've got my cement glue, which is what I use for my 40K stuff. This is my first ever Horus Heresy model. I have not opened him, so I don't know if he's the same plastic as the 40K model, because I know that they do make, GW does make resin models. I don't know if he's one. I haven't checked yet. But if in case he is, I have this thing called Future Glue, which I actually just got. I just want to open Ahriman real quick first, because I want to see what I'm actually dealing with here. Oh, that's different. I've got him in plastic. Okay, that's so funny. I've never seen a model with the thing around it. He's not a lot of pieces. Oh, he's gonna be so easy to build. But he is in a plastic sprue, so I can use my regular stuff on him. Looks like a 32mm base. We have Cato Ahriman, so he's only one sprue for Ahriman. And then here's Sicarius, who is a much bigger sprue. Kind of get to see who GW gives a little bit more love to there. Sicarius is on a 40mm base that I did know already. Oh my gosh, this is all of the instructions for Ahriman. That's all he gets, is this little piece of paper, and then they're like, 40K booklet. Ooh, it folds out. I'm so used to having like an actual book. I have a couple really big sets that I have to build, so I'm quite used to having like a booklet. I just finished building my Brutalis Dreadnought. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go grab him because I'm quite proud of him. He's right here. That's Gildan. So I got my first tank as well. Very exciting. Here's the Brutalis. I actually got his arm really well. I'm very proud of that. The other one, not so much with the turning, but still movable like this, which is really cool. He's missing his little thing. I have it out because I don't transport it with him on because I don't want it to break. I'm filming this right after the massive snowstorm we just had. We got like more than a foot of snow, and I just watched a lot of it blow off of the house right next to us. But anyway, he opens up. It's very cool, very awesome model. I think he's my favorite. I hesitate to say he's my favorite because oh shoot, one of my turrets just fell off my tank. My tank is kind of falling apart right now. I don't know why. I hesitate to say he's my favorite because I do love the Redemptor's model. I just don't like him in the game. Like on the table, I play the tabletop, if you didn't know. I don't just make models, or build models and paint them. I play the tabletop as well. I'm not as big a fan of the Redemptor, but I do really like the Brutalis. But here's my tank. This is my first tank. I got a Repulsor, and I quite love him. As you can see, I got very excited, and I already painted the Tech Marine on top. Yeah, he's pretty cool. So these are some of the colors for my homebrew chapter, the Mercy Marines. But I I kind of messed up this side, and I'm gonna try a different technique on the other side. I'm trying to do, their colors are black camo, and I'm finding that it's very hard to do. I kind of can hide it on when I do the little individual Marines because they're small and you can't really tell, but on those big models, it's a lot easier to tell. Now, also, since I'm off the bed, this is how Magnus is, this is how he's been, because I want to, I want to magnetize his armor. If you didn't know, when you get Magnus, this is not a part of the model, and nor is this. He comes butt nude. And yeah, so you can customize like how much armor you want him to wear or not. I personally want to magnetize it all. The problem is like deciding where I'm going to put the magnets so I feel like it doesn't compromise the model's looks when the armor would be off. And then I haven't done his other arm because he can have, I think it was 2 weapons. I haven't looked at the model in a while because I've been dreading the magnetizing. But I think he can have like 2 weapons. I know he could definitely have his glaive. I can't remember if he has like the shorter sword thing. I don't know what it's called. But the glaive is my favorite, but I want to see if I can kind of get the other things together. And my dream would be able to magnetize his head because I love his regular face and I love his mask. I think it's so pretty. I do not like his Cyclops head. I think it looks really ugly. I think it looks like cheesy and a little stupid. But the rest of the model is really cool. And if you didn't know this, I didn't know this until I got the model. Magnus has a tail. And I think that's absolutely adorable, because what do you need that tail for, sir? Like, Zinch is all, like, bird stuff. You think if he had a tail, he'd have, like a bird tail, but they gave him, like, this little lizard dinosaur tail, and I think that's really funny and cute. He's a gorgeous model. I love him a lot. Which, for this video, I would like you guys to comment. We're not going to build, I might have to do this off camera because the level of concentration I do with my magnets, it would be a very silent video and I would hate to put you guys through that. So I mean, if you're interested in that, I'll do it. But you guys should comment below what models you want me to make build next. So I have a few just like regular Space Marines. Like I have my Hellblasters, my Tactical Marines, and then I got the August Strike Force, which is this box. That's what the Dreadnought came in. So I'd been saving, at least upside down. I'd been saving to get this box for a while. Just because I like getting the boxes better because I get more things. Like, am I going to use everything in this box? No, but I'm going to proxy it for other things. So nothing goes to waste, regardless if I have the models or not. I'm personally not like wholly bound to, I have to have this specific model, unless it's a character like Cato Ahriman, and I want the model, but I got him off of eBay. So that's really cool. So I can build stuff out of that. I haven't built any of the Marines out of that except for the Lieutenant and the Dreadnought. I have Tactical Marines I can build. I have Hellblasters I can build. I have Lionel Johnson, Angron, and Fulgrim. So I can build any of them. And then I did buy the pre-order box for Captain Titus, but I am not going to build that while I'm at school because I ordered it to my house because sometimes packages get lost coming here to school, and I was not risking losing Titus because he's a pre-order. So unless I can get back home to go get him and like physically carry him back here, I'm not sending him in the mail because I'm too afraid that he's going to get lost. I got the Wardens of Ultima, and then I got all the very controversial. I know not everybody liked the Space Marine heads, the new ones that came out. I thought they were pretty, so I got them. I don't think they look like girls. GW's not great at face molds all the time. It just to me, they just kind of look like young Space Marines. So I'm going to use them for like scouts and stuff like that. So let's get to building some stuff. I figured that for this video, what I could talk about is the playing the actual tabletop, because I do play the actual tabletop and I love it very, very dearly. And I was starting to get really good at it, but now I've been messing around with my typical army list because I'm trying new things, and it's not backfiring on me, but I am not doing as good as I used to. So I play Ultramarines and I play Gladius Task Force as my detachment. Actually, before we talk about like my army and stuff and how I play, I should explain how you actually play Warhammer. So to play Warhammer, the way it works is you have your army. Every army's rules are different, and then within your army you have detachments or Some armies call them different things. Like I think for Drakari, they're called different things. I don't know, we have a Drakari player in the club, but I don't understand his army. I just know that it's hard to fight. Like they're glass cannons, they hit you hard, they kill a lot, but once you kind of kill them back, it's okay, but it does make for like a very trading game, especially with how I play my army. But it starts by, you know, you pick from we have a mission deck thing, so you have the primary mission, which is what everybody's doing, and then you have these stacks of cards that are your secondaries, which you draw, and that's like your special thing that you're trying to do. You both have the same group of secondaries, but because you draw them at random, you know, I might have Assassinate in the first round and he might not, or he or she I'm fighting against might not ever get the Assassinate, or they might have it in the 5th round or the 4th round, or so on and so forth, right? So we draw our primary and we draw what the battlefield is actually going to look like, and we set up the battlefield accordingly, right? So it's made up, the way you play the game, it's made up of rounds, and there's 5 turns in total, okay? So we're gonna roll to see who goes first. So let's say I go first. So the way it works is we're gonna start with our command phase. So our command phase is when we're gonna do like special abilities for our armies that are like very specific to the armies. So for me, I play Gladius Task Force. This is when I'm going to use my doctrines. So I might say, all right, everybody in my army is under the assault doctrine, which means that everybody in my army can advance and shoot. Whereas if you don't have the proper profile on a weapon, some weapons are not allowed to advance and shoot. They're only allowed to move and shoot, right? So this is where we're gonna give our special little things. If you're a guard player, you're gonna give your orders here, like shoot better, hide better, move better. I think those are the 3 I can't think of. It's been a really long time since I've played guard. That was the first army I played because that's what I learned with. And so on and so forth, right? So after command phase is really quick. You're just gonna make a couple of quick decisions, right? The movement phase is what's next. So every model has its own, or every unit, I shouldn't say model. Every unit has its own movement that it's allowed to move. So for General Space Marines, it's 6 inches of movement. And for things like vehicles, it's like anywhere between 8 and 10 inches of movement, depending on how fast the vehicle actually is. By the way, I'm building Ahriman first because he's really, really easy. So you're gonna move all your things, or maybe not move all your things. It depends on how you need to play the game. If you're, you know, a melee-based army, you're gonna be moving. If you're like an Eldar, a glass cannon, or Tau, you're gonna stay at the back and shoot from, you know, as far away as possible. So on and so forth, right? After the movement phase, now we get into the shooting phase. And I should say that 40K isn't like chess where it'd be like you move a character, I move a character. I'm gonna move everything I'm doing one after the other. So I am commanding, I'm moving, I'm shooting, we'll charge, and then we'll fight, right? I'm doing all of that, and you have to sit and watch, except for in the shooting phase, you have saves. And then when I'm done, you do the same thing back at me. So it's like chess if instead of taking one thing at a time, I moved all my characters on the chessboard, and then you moved all your characters in the chessboard as a response. So we're past the movement phase, now we're gonna do the shooting phase. So in the shooting phase, let's say I have an intercessor squad. They have multiple guns, so there's 10 bolt rifles in the squad in total. Why are you not sitting correctly? Ahriman doesn't want to go together. Come on. Take this off and see if it goes on better if I do this first. So there's 10 bolt rifles in an intercessor squad, right? And they can shoot those bolt rifles anywhere they want. So I could say, you over here, or 3 are gonna shoot these guys, 3 are gonna shoot that guy, blah, 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 right? I can spread them out however I want. And then there's also grenade launchers in that group. If I have a 10-man, I'm gonna bring 2 grenade launchers. So I could say, oh, all the bolt rifles are gonna here, but the 2 grenade launchers are gonna go over here, right? So I can make those decisions on how and where I want things to be spread out. But there might be things that reward me for focusing all of my firing at one place. So, like I said with, I choose intercessors for this because they have an ability called focused fire. So when they choose to all hit, I think I figured out what's stopping this. When they all choose to hit the same thing, I get +2 to the attack characteristic. So every bolt rifle can fire twice. If I focus everything at one thing, the bolt rifle gets to shoot 4 times. So, you know, things that make me want to hit all of the same place. This is so weird. It like just does not want to fit together. This is not a very easy fit. I built a lot of models. This is a weird one. Okay. Let's try and do it up here and bind it at its pauldron perhaps instead. That's also a problem there. Sometimes when you cut them off the sprue, if you miss a little bit of sprue, it stops the build from fitting together properly. Ahriman's got like a lot of little things on his armor, and I'm thinking maybe perhaps I'm mistaking for something on his armor, maybe for a piece of sprue, but I think I got it now. So yeah, abilities might reward you from focusing fire. I can't think of any other thing that does that off the top of my head because I've only ever played Guard, Ultramarines, and a little bit of Thousand Suns, because I started playing Thousand Suns right before the nerf, and then when the nerf happened, I just like lost all my interest in playing them, but I still love them, and I'm still very happy I have the models that I have. Like, I love my Sorcerer models. I proxy them a lot of times for things like, I just use my Sorcerer models as my Librarian models if I ever bring them in my Ultramarines. And then sometimes, like I just ripped apart like a bunch of Sorcerer bits to make like a new rank for my Mercy Marines, just to be in the Company Heroes unit that I have, that I'm trying really hard. So once I shoot, the way it works is I'm gonna roll to see if I hit you, okay? Then I have to roll to see if those hits, whatever hits, penetrates the armor. Then you get to roll if you save yourself from those hits. Whether you save or not, then that resolves how much damage you're going to take, right? So that's where your rolling comes in during this. And then finally, that's our shoot. So we're done with the shooting phase now. Now we move on to our charge phase. So we're gonna measure the distance between units. It's gonna be base to base. And they have to get, well, it's not base to base. It's within an inch of you because you consolidate, or I consolidate into your men to melee fight. So let's say there's 9 inches between my unit and your unit. I'm gonna roll 2d6. That has to equal or be better than 9 inches. And the reason why you actually want it to be better is because your men can only fight in melee if this guy is in contact with the melee armor unit, and this guy is also in. So only 2 bases together. If there's a third guy here, even if he's touching the base, it doesn't matter. He's not included in the melee because he's too far away. But if you have extra inches, like if there's a 9-inch charge and let's say you did awesome, you got boxcars, you got 12 inches, you can move that character on the other side of the melee unit because you have the inches to move it. And then now everybody is in melee combat. You want that because you want as many hits as you possibly can get into the thing that you're trying to kill. The good thing about melee is that it traps you. You can fall back, but you're not allowed to shoot if you fall back. But if you're in melee, other things can't shoot into you, except for like a couple of rules, and that's where it kind of gets funky. There's a few rules that work around that. The only thing you can shoot out of melee are pistols. So like my Hellblasters, they have a fire on death. So if you kill my Hellblaster can fire its pistol somewhere else. Not that it's necessarily going to help, but it might if you have like particularly squishy units. Like if I'm fighting guards, I might take out another guard or so on and so forth, right? So melee's really funky because you can charge multiple units and you can have like 4 or 5 things that are tied up in melee, which is good because they can't get out. So like with my Space Marines, if I'm fighting something like a guard or Sisters of Battle, I could really mess up my opponent by charging into them. Because if I charge into them, they know that they're really likely to die, even though my Space Marines only have close combat weapons, because Space Marines still have 3 attacks and hit on 3s. So their melee is still quite dangerous. And what's worse about it is that they know, the guard player or the Sisters player knows that if they fall back, I'm just gonna light them up with my weapons. So they don't want to fight back, so they kind of get stuck in the melee, which is good because then I've tied up their units away from shooting at me. Or taking and holding objectives, because if you're in melee, they can't do actions on objectives, which is how you earn points in secondaries. And that's why those secondaries that I mentioned are important, is because Warhammer isn't, it's not about killing the enemy. I mean, that's important and that helps. If you table your enemy, great, they can't score points. But you actually win the game not by killing the enemy. You win the game by doing whatever the primary is telling you to do, or by scoring points on the secondaries. You could kill a person's army and still lose the game because they might have done more objectives and secondaries than you. And this is kind of like how we balance, really overpowered stuff. Oh my god, Ahriman looks so good. Sorry, I love his mask. This is during the Horus Heresy, so it's pre how he looks now. I love the way Ahriman looks now. Like, he's awesome, don't get me wrong. This is also really, really pretty. Like, I love pre-heresy Thousand Suns. They're awesome. Okay, where does this fit? Oh, good god. I think this is a Space Wolf that he's standing on. Like, the armor makes me think it's a... Yeah, it's got like the little gem that the Space Wolves have at the center of its chest. Where does his foot go, though? I guess, oh, this is so weird. All right, he's done. And he looks absolutely gorgeous. I just love I love all the little details. I love his mask, especially the way they painted on the box. I'm gonna have such a fun time with this, and I'm a big fan of when any of the Space Marines make adornments on their weapons, and I've always loved when they wear like clothes and cloths on their armor. I just think it looks awesome, which is part of the reason why I love the Thousand Suns so much, because they do it a lot. But I cannot wait to start painting him, especially because his mask isn't all red. It's got that really awesome white, and I have the perfect color to make that pretty glow effect. I'm very excited for this. The only thing I'm going to find hard is his weapon. I am not good at, like, the metals on the armor, great. Colors, awesome, love it. Metal colors, like bronze and silver, the best I can do is like the dirty effect on a pyre blaster, which is the flamethrower. And I'm only good at that because I have a really good wash for it. I'm trying to grab one for you guys right now. The only time I think I make like that metal effect look good, because I just do my silver and then I put the brown wash on top and it just does the work for me. Other than that, like, I feel like my metals get lost in each other because I just end up repeating the same 3 colors over and over again. But plasma I'm good at, I think. I'm decently good at that. So I'm excited to do Ahriman, but I'm happy he's done. He's so little too. Look at, where did Magnus go? Ruh-roh. Oh, there he is. Magnus and his son standing next to each other. You guys can't see that far back. Me and my son. He's only up to his knee. That's crazy. That's insane. Because, like, compare the size of the Demon Prince to, say, Gilliman, who I have to keep wrapped in bubble wrap because his model is ridiculously spindly. In fact, I've already broken off one of he's got these teeny tiny little torches, and I've already snapped one off. Ignore that he's headless. I magnetized his head because he has the helmet head and the face head, and I like both. Like, he's not that big. Like, is it still, like, scary, you know, that he's huge? Yes, but... Okay, little brother. Like, he's so small. That torch is the most spindly bit I have ever seen. Like, that's Drakari worthy. Now that's an army that falls apart. I would be so scared to have an army like that, because I'd just be like, every movement could take, a breath of fresh air might take down the army. A little sip of water. But yeah, that's a complete sprue. There's Ahriman. Now we move on to Cato Ahriman. So once the melee resolves, we go over to whoever's next turn it is. Once you finish your turn, that's a full turn complete. The game stops when one of us surrenders or when we've reached 5 turns. So that's the max. In tournaments, they typically also have a time limit. So like, I think it's 3 hours is what we do. I can't remember. I've gotten pretty decent. I've gotten so decent at the game now that I know my rules, I can play through a game pretty quickly. Well, I did know my rules. That is until yesterday. So I love the Hellblaster units. Not because of the meta. I actually bought the Hellblasters was the first unit I bought after I got the, what was it called? The starter kit. And I bought it because everybody kept telling me I needed anti-tank, because most of the people in the club were guard players or people that just had tanks. And I had my little starter kit, and the only anti-tank I had was a single chain fist in my Terminator squad. So my defense against tanks was run my Terminators at them and just keep the tank tied up in melee, right? And you know, that could only service me for so long. So everybody's like, you gotta get anti-tank, you gotta get anti-tank. But I didn't know how to read, like, the rules cards or anything like that. So I started looking at squads, and I saw the Hellblaster's big blasters, and I saw the big plasma, and I naturally thought that that meant it was good against tanks. I didn't read anything about them, and I just picked them. And I used them, and they weren't good anti-tank, and I kind of just stopped using them for a really long time. But then my one buddy was like, oh, you should put a lieutenant with your Hellblasters so they get lethal hits. No, they get sustained when they're hollow. I gotta check it. Like I said, I'm relearning a lot of their abilities, because now that I have Captain Titus, I want to put Titus maybe with somebody or whatever, because I usually just put a lieutenant with them and call it a day, but now I'm trying new things. And I always put an enhancement on my lieutenant, so I forget whether it's lethal or sustained that they get. They get lethal hits. Okay, so he was like, oh, you should give your Hellblasters lethal hits so that they can reroll on their Oath of Moment targets and so on and so forth, right? And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And then I fell in love with the unit after that. And I had no idea that they were a meta, because apparently they became the new meta. Then they got bumped up in points. I think they were like 160 or 180 before. That's the other thing about Warhammer. I'll explain that in a second. Let me get through all this first. But now they're 200 points of cost, and that was to try and reel in how overpowered they were. But I had no idea that they were a meta. I actually wasn't meta chasing when I got them, but now I just, like, I love the unit so much that every time I build any list for my army, I immediately, like, I don't even consider the list if I can't put in 20 Hellblasters and 1 lieutenant. That's how I start my lists. 20 Hellblasters, 1 lieutenant, every single time. Everything else, figure it out. Unless I'm playing in a 1,000-point game, then I do 10 Hellblasters. But I always play 2,000-point games because it's just kind of, it's really hard for me to play the game at 1,000 points now because of the strategy that I personally employ. So from what I know from other people, the way that you're supposed to play Space Marines is you're supposed to rely on your your vehicles, such as like repulsor tanks and dreadnoughts. So the dreadnoughts are kind of like, they walk in front and they take all the brunt of the damage, they kill what they can, but the tanks roll up and then dismount the space marines inside. So like a repulsor tank, you can house 14 space marines inside. And I don't play that way because I got into this for the lore, so I love having space marines. Like I love having just little groups of guys. I think they're awesome, and I like making them and painting them, and then I love when they do good in battle and I get to write a little story about them and everything. So, you know, and obviously I've got Ahriman and Cato. I love characters, Titus and Gadriel, and I'm gonna pronounce Titus's battle tutor's name incorrectly, like Matthias or Matthias. I don't remember. I love the characters. I love them a lot. So I don't want a lot of vehicles. Like the reason why I got that box is because I got the vehicle, I got the Brutalis, but I also got like 15 guys with it, right? So I ended up creating my own strategy, which is a little special something that my buddies in the club fondly call Horde Marines, which is that I play typically with just nearly a company's worth of Space Marines. The last tournament I played in, I legitimately had almost 100 Space Marines on the battlefield. I had 30 Hellblasters, 30 Intercessors, some other stuff, and then leaders and one Ballistus Dreadnought. So that's how I play the game. And that's just, you know, you're gonna find your way, the strategies you like, but right now I'm in like a very funny spot because it's like I love my Hellblasters. Never gonna not bring them. They're always gonna be in the list. But I want to try out some new things. I have Titus coming on the way. I have Cato Sicarius who's here now. I want to try out some other units and figure out what they go best with. Titus can go with Hellblasters, so that's pretty cool, but I wanted to see if there's something else I can bring him with. So I'm going to try out Stern Guard for the first time. And then Cato Sicarius can only go with Victress Guard, Victress Honor Guard. So I'm gonna have to try something new out. And that's good, you know, doing different things with these guys. Ooh, this is a little weird. This next piece is a little odd. Kind of struggling with my army right now because I'm learning a bunch of new rules that I didn't have to know before. The other thing that I always bring to the table in my list is that I always bring intercessors, just because I think they're good. Whenever I use them, I think they're great. Whatever they are, battle line or infantry. I think they're battle line. Yeah, I just think they're like really good battle line. I think they pump out a lot of shots, and if they're shooting at an Oath of Moment target, they're probably going to do a great deal of damage to it. And they're very good for holding objectives, and I like that they have the stickied objective, which means that so one of the ways you can earn points is by sitting on an objective and then earning points from controlling it. But if you have something called a sticky objective or a sticky ability, they can walk up to it and they can then, this is weird. Wait, I don't understand this. What piece is this? Something that I don't, oh, it's gonna be a part of the helmet eventually. But yeah, so I like them because sticky means that they can walk up to an objective, sticky it, and then walk away, and it acts as though it's still being held by them. So you don't have to be on the objective to hold it. And that's why I like them. And then I think they're just good kind of, if you have like a strong enough list of other stuff, they're very good action monkeys. They can go around doing other things for points. How does this get on here? Oh my gosh. He's kind of annoying. The little bit, it's just this helmet area is very annoying. I know it's like stopping and starting, but some of these pieces are like a little funky to get in. So I don't want you guys to just kind of sit and watch me struggle. But I got a part of his helmet on his body now because he's holding a helmet like this, kind of. We're getting there. but I was talking about points before, and I realized I hadn't explained what that means. So when you first start the battle, so you approach somebody, hey, I want to fight. You have to decide what kind of point battle you're going to play, and this decides the scope of the size of what you want to do. So if you want to play something short and sweet, you do like 500 points. Maybe a little longer, you got a little more time on your hands. We're going to go to, oh no, damn it, this is supposed to go on first. It didn't tell me what was supposed to go on first. Shoot, I have to like maneuver this now. 1,000 points, you have a little bit more time, probably gonna be like a 3-hour game maybe. And then 2,000 points is the biggest like standard, and then like 4,000 points is like a lot. I've never played a 4,000 point game. The biggest I've played is 2,000 points. That's also, I think, the max I can get to comfortably. I think I could probably squeeze together 2,500 points, but then I would be getting into like stuff I don't like know the rules of or really care about. Actually, that's not true. I have a couple of dreadnoughts I could throw in there for points, but that's big. And then I think 4,000 is the biggest that new recruit goes up to, which is the website we use to like list out, I have a captain, I have a lieutenant, I have 10 guys, tank. And then it has all the rules on there for each of them, so you could quickly like, okay, what do I have to do? 10 bolt, right, these guys have 10 bolters, all right, rolling. So you decide what how big you're gonna play. And then every unit costs an amount based on how powerful they are, or how many things you're bringing, or special abilities or weapons. So, like I said, my Hellblasters are quite strong. They had to go up in points. They cost, a 10-man costs 200 points to bring. So they're pretty, 200 points, they're pretty good. Sorry, I'm making sure this pauldron sits on right. I always kind of place my pauldrons a little weird, so I was making sure I got it right for Cato. These little character guys, they're not going to cost as much. Now, he is a hero, an epic hero, so it basically just means he's a named character. So, like, when he was still captain, he was still a Captain Sicarius. He was named, so he was put into the epic heroes. So, Cato Sicarius costs 95 points to bring. So, pretty expensive for, like, a single model, but he doesn't just run around on the board by himself. You could. You wouldn't. He would get wiped off the face of the board, but he leads a unit, and then he gives them abilities. So, he is specifically for leading, Victrix Honor Guard, and he'll lead them alongside, he can lead them alongside the Chapter Master Marnius Calgard. And that's also important because not everything can be put with everything else. Like, captains can't lead alongside librarians most of the time because they don't get along well. The lieutenants are special because they can lead with anybody. They can be alongside anything, so they can be led with librarians or apothecaries or other captains, so they're great. They're really good support. I love the lieutenants. You can only bring a max of 3 of the same things. You can only have 3 lieutenants, unfortunately, or 3 Hellblaster groups. You can't just come to a 10,000 point game and say, all right, I brought, 5 or 6 Hellblaster groups. You'd get, no one would be able to withstand that. I don't like the way that looks. I've got a little bit of like leftover sprue on here, and I'm just trying to cut it off. It's like also how you have to balance things, because there might be something that you really want to bring, but you can't because you're only playing like a 1,000 point game and you need something else. You also might know, like, we don't like to list tailor. List tailoring is considered like a really scummy thing to do. But what we can do is army tailor. So, like, I know that if I'm gonna fight guard, I should probably bring fire because it's just easy to kill guard that way. But what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna look at my opponent that I'm going against, see that he's bringing all tank, and I go, okay, I'm gonna bring all my anti-tank. Or see that he doesn't have any tanks, and then I bring all of my tank, right? Because that makes the game wildly unfair. So you can tailor according to, I know this about the army, but you should never be looking over your opponent's shoulder and going, oh yeah, they've got this, so I'm gonna bring this so they can't kill me, because it just makes it unfair. You can ask kindly, oh, what are you bringing, and so on and so forth, just to make conversation, but it's for this, ooh, he's okay. It's for this reason that when you sign up for a tournament, you actually have to make your list and submit it, and it's locked. Like, you can't change the list when you get to the tournament. And typically you also can't see what other people are bringing. Okay, I have to decide which head I'm gonna bring. I think I wanna use, he's got a head of him yelling, but I think I like both of them a lot, but I think I want to go with the one of him like grimacing instead, because that's the one on the box, and that's the one that I really liked. I've played in a few Warhammer tournaments now. I quite enjoy them because you meet like his power pack has a really heavy banner on it, and so because it just went when I held him back up, the glue wasn't dry yet. I like tournaments because you get to meet some really cool people. I have like a really weird way of playing, so I typically have a very good time because I'm just there to kind of have a good time and make friends. And so why does this look so weird? I like them because I get to talk about lore and so on and so forth. Like, I know I'm not a good player, so I don't really expect to win. I expect to put up a fight, but I never go into this thinking, yeah, I should win this battle. So I play very like fast and loose, and I have fun, and typically like I'm a really fun battle for whoever is playing against me, because they walk up and they see a bunch of Space Marines, and they're like, that's not how that army is supposed to be played. This is weird. It doesn't look like she has a lot. And then I'm like, here comes a wall of plasma, and I just blow them down in like the first turn. And they're like, whoa, this is weird. And then they very quickly course correct, and they're able to beat me anyway. So I find that my battles are typically quite fun for whoever goes against me. Whoever's in the first round, I'm like, I'm a very strange start to wake up to. And then whoever has me in the second, it's a really weird middle to kind of get them higher in rank. But the last tournament I was at, I had a really good win. I had like my first, what I think is like so the first time I ever played the game, I won. And I did, I won because I had two guys who know the game sitting with me, helping me, coaching me, right? So that was good to start with, but it's not like a true win. Then I had my first win by myself against Imperial Guard, but I was kind of, not Imperial Guard, sorry. Imperial Fists. And while I think like I won that, I feel like looking back at it, I think I got a couple of rules wrong. It was my first time doing a match by myself, and I was doing the points. So I think I won, but I don't know how good I won. But then I went against my friend in a tournament, and I beat his Sisters of Battle, and that was great, but it just didn't feel like that good of a win. This last tournament I was in, I credit this as like my first win, because it wasn't against somebody I knew. It was a total stranger, and it was my first time ever seeing the army. So I went against Imperial Knights for the first time, and Knights are really hard, especially when you're my army and I'm all infantry and battle line. But what I have, like I said before, is a wall of plasma. I introduced to you the Hellblaster squad, who absolutely carried my game I had against these knights, and I actually won. And I think I won because he underestimated the army, because the only vehicle I had was my Ballistus Dreadnought. And he just took, the models, it's just a bunch of little guys with guns. So he walked by the way, if you didn't know, knights are these giant robots that are this big. They're that big. And the one big one he had was like this big. It was huge. Now compare that to my little guy right here. And so he walked up this one giant one that had a huge lance and shield, and he thought he was going to take the point, and I blasted it out of oblivion. And I think from there, he just really was not expecting that, and the rest of the game was like, almost like, what's it called? Putting out the fires. Like, he just didn't know what to do from there because his big knight was gone. One of his two really big knights, I should say. But still, he was not expecting to lose. A knight player never expects to lose a full knight in turn 1. That's insane. And I didn't just win the match, I board wiped him, which means that I killed all of his models off of the board. So it was awesome, and while I made that win with 30 Hellblasters and 30 Intercessor squads and then whatever else I brought in the Ballistic Dreadnought, right? So I won, but I was like really dead tired of doing the same thing over and over again, which is why I'm trying to switch stuff up now with my army, trying things like Cato Sicarius and Victress Guard and all sorts of new things. So I'm like not in the happiest place with my army because I'm learning and I'm like in the growing pains, but I hope I find like something else that I'm like, oh, this is awesome, and I can like lean off of my Hellblasters a little bit and like start only bringing maybe 10 of them. But with that, perfect timing, Cato Sicarius is done just as I finished talking. So here's our final. Here is Mr. Sicarius in all of his glory. I like the last model. I absolutely love all the little details. Here's him painted, by the way. That's his mean little mug. His angry old face, because he's really old. Or actually, I don't think he's that old, but him yelling. His yelling face is good, too. I'm loving the gray hairs, and I'm loving his cropped little haircut. Some of the Space Marines, some of these haircuts are really bad. So I do love when they get decent haircuts, you know. Whoever's on the ship cutting hair knew what they were doing. But just like Ahriman, I am in love with these adornments, and I love a massive dramatic cape. I mean, look at all the cape that he's holding here. Like, this is drama queen. He is a drama queen. Everyone's got mixed opinions on Sicarius. I hear some people like, oh, he's a great character, and some people are like, I hate him. His own like unit hates him. Thankfully, though, I am reading his book right now, so I'm learning about him, and I'm just starting it, and he is like a little drama queen. But all of the Space Marines are drama queens. They're like books because they're like Space Marines and things aren't like as threatening. It's very different from reading an Imperial Guard book, because in an Imperial Guard book, the books, like the call of the book is like, every time we walk into a room, we don't know who's going to survive. Any of these characters could die because everything is horrifying as a human. As a Space Marine, most things aren't going to kill you, so the drama comes from like their politics and from, you know, leaderships and units kind of fighting with each other. So it's like a lot of high school drama, but in the, you know, in the setting of war. So that's why I say he's a little drama queen. Because all Space Marines kind of are, at least in their books. And then you like look and you see the perspective of other people of Space Marines, and it's like very different. But one of the Space Marines actually in the first chapter describes their political drama as just being drama, which is really funny. But I love all the little details on him. This is also why I love Ultramarines so much, because they're just so gorgeous. The saying McCraig on it as well. Amazing. I'm very happy that I have him. He looks so pretty. Like, when I first started the hobby, I always thought this helmet was really pretty. So I'm really happy to have a guy who has it now. But there they are. That's Horus Heresy Ahriman and 40k Cato Sicarius, who's not a captain anymore. So, hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun babbling and just talking and building. I love doing this. I want to get back into it, but part of what stops me is like I don't have a lot to talk about, or I don't know exactly what people want to hear about. So please, in the comments, write to me what you want me to talk about in the next thing. So if you want to hear about orcs or you want to learn about Eldar or something, I'll go research it and I'll try my best to explain it the best I can. But also, like I said, I got tons of things to build. So do you want to see me build more Ultramarines? Like I said, I have a few Primarchs. I got a couple Primarchs. I have Angron, Fulgrim, the Lion. I could finish Magnus, but the Magnus video is going to be like a lot of starting and stopping with me because I'm going to be magnetizing him. And it's going to be a lot of indecisiveness from me. I could also do a video where I paint. So if you guys want to see me paint, maybe my painting process, I'm not a great painter, but I think I'm a decent one. I'll show you one of my little guys. The bee hounds that I mentioned, that's why they look like this. He's not my best work. My best work are definitely my character models. I spend a lot more time on them. Not that I didn't spend time on this guy, but I find that details are a lot easier for me to do, weirdly enough. That's not really. Show you my two most honored characters. My chapter master lies in this box alongside my favorite little lieutenant, who's my saint, who is my OC, which means original character. But this was the first guy I ever painted. I think he's really good. His paint needs some updating because he's old now. But I think I'm a good painter. I'm good enough. And then this was a kit bash I did. She goes on a jump pad thing that I had to alter. So I'm painting her right now. So if that's something you're interested in, you want to see me paint, I could paint too. I could show you my paint process. It's not a good one, but it works. So thank you all for watching, and hopefully I get back into this and I get back into a rhythm. Bye-bye. I also just thought of this. I could read the book. That could also be something that I do. A little 30 minutes of reading. It would be a lot of mispronunciations of names, but that's something else I could do. Okay, bye.